Standing ovations all around. They liked it very much, guys. This is
Thank you.
and Paul, this is a movie to like. It is actually a movie, feel good about humanity and these three. And by the way, among their many nominations today, the Critics' Choice Awards, they were all individually nominated.
Wow. Congratulations.
Also for Best Ensemble. And I thought that was so important. Because when you think of an ensemble, 10, 12 people, and then, a lot of actors, this is three, and it was the definition, I think, of an ensemble act.
I agree.
Working together.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the characters, too, are all sort of like just all three aspects of one person in a way. You know what I mean? It's all like one unit.
Exactly, and the way it goes, and you're rooting for all of you, and you're all lonely in one way, and you find each other, and you create a family for a couple of weeks, and we like it. So Paul, tell me, this is the second film now you've made with Alexander Payne. Of course, the first one was Sideways. And I know you've tried to get together with him in other years and other projects. Finally, what was it about this film that finally made it work and that appealed to you?
Well, I think it finally worked because the schedule worked.
Yeah.
Because, we definitely tried to do other things that didn't work out for other reasons. And then we tried to do this for a couple of years running, and the schedule just never worked.
Yeah.
And then finally the schedule worked. So it was that simple. It was like, when we got it, he really, really was adamant that it had to be winter, real winter, which makes a difference because it's real winter.
Thank God for him.
Yeah, because it's like, it's
This
real.
was not fake snow.
No, it's
No.
real snow. It's not like out in the Grove right now, just the snowflakes falling down. It's like, this is real snow, and you can tell, you can feel, so
Yeah.
it makes a big difference.
That's wild.
Yeah, so, I wanted to work with him, and the script was lovely. The story, as you just said, it's like a story of sort of this found family and people seeing the humanity in each other, these loners, these outsiders, these misfits who share a common humanity, and they help themselves forward just a bit.
Yeah.
There's no big transformations.
Right.
There's a little bit movement forward for all of them, and it's beautiful. I just thought the story was lovely, and the characters and everything.
I love the end because I can actually talk about the end.
Where I played a character named Paul Giamatti, where it was a movie called Cold Souls. It took me a second to remember it. Not a single person seen it after. Not a single person. It's a very strange little movie, but I actually played myself in that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wild. So this character, he's cranky. He's somebody that lived in. We see him. We feel we know him. And is that fun to play for you? Somebody like that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, he's an interesting guy. He's an outsider in every possible way, and everything just increases his being an outsider. I mean, he's got all these conditions that put him outside. Smelling like fish and all this. But his own intelligence, the one thing he has that he can connect with people with, his intelligence puts him outside of things too.
Right.
He's too smart for his own good. He's too smart to be able to know how to behave correctly. He's too smart, and so even that thing that he clings to so much keeps putting him outside of things. So it's a sad character, and I feel a lot of compassion for a person like that, but I also think it's funny too. You know what I mean?
But he's teaching ancient Roman history and all of that, and that dialogue is killer. Are you a aficionado of this, or was this difficult to learn? We got a lot of actors listening.
You mean like just the dialogue in general that David wrote?
Of that.
Yeah, well, the Roman, there's Latin and Greek in it. That was nerve-wracking. Alexander handed me the ancient Greek I say in that bowling alley to the Santa Claus. I have one sentence in ancient Greek. He literally handed that to me like about 20 minutes before the scene. He was like, by the way, I want you to say something in ancient Greek. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It was really, and he kept going, no, it's very easy. It's saying it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I was like, these are already hard enough lines to remember. These are such crazy dialogue. So that stuff was tricky. Yeah, that stuff was tricky. But David's language it's the kind of wonderfully ornate language that really sticks in your head. You know, it's like Shakespeare or something, you know, like it takes hold, so
Yeah.
you remember it actually pretty easily.
Exactly. Well, Davine, you have won every award in sight so far this season, people, I think the reason too is people really love this character. They relate to you, and you just, you know, you make us cry. It's really one of those wonderful characters that you got to play. What was your reaction when the script was handed to you?
Thank you, first of all. It is a gift, it is, because when I read the script, what I realized was that, you know, because this is a room of actors, so you know sometimes when you get scripts and you're like, okay, and then what, you know what I mean? And so this was a situation in which I received a script and the script was full. It was chock full of stuff for me to work with and deal with and build off of, and so that immediately let me know, okay, this is another level of writing, and I'm entering this from such a level of depth already. I was a little daunted by, I call it like the silent movie scenes, only because the script, when you read it, goes from being a traditional script to then almost like prose or a novel. And he's in this very beautiful way describing the atmosphere. And then it's like, and she's doing a puzzle in the corner. And so I had to, with Alexander's help, figure out what does that actually look like. So that was quite daunting, but no, upon reading the script, I was like, oh, wow, this is already starting off. I'm sure you felt this too.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
it's all there.
it's all, exactly,
Yeah.
it's already
and
all
the potential
there.
for more. You're just like, oh, I can see all this more. It's amazing.
That's amazing to have that.
Yeah.
You know, was there any improvisation going on at all?
Yes and no. So what we did is that, and I've never done this before, and I actually really like it. So good luck to future projects and directors, because I'm going to request it. We had 2 to 3 weeks of table read, scene analysis, never happens. And in that, what we did was, like, sometimes directors, if you're lucky, will pull you aside and like be like, okay, so listen, what are you thinking about your character, and da 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 da, and then go to your next actor, and like all these private conversations. And what was fantastic that Alexander did is we all together went through the script several times, scene by scene, and together we were like, you know, well, let me ask you a question about this, or what do you think about that? So yes, it was improvised, but it wasn't in that we came up with it in those 2 to 3 weeks, and then we wrote it and was set in stone of like, this is now the new collective abridged or revised script. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it was, but it wasn't. But what was so amazing is, I mean, I don't tend to mind too much, but sometimes it can throw actors off when it's like, you ever know when directors are like, you're in the middle of the scene and they say cut, and then it bothers me. They'll go over to another actor and be like, and looking at you while they're doing it, and I'm so like, I wish you would. I'm like, where you gonna go at? You know, but it's so interesting how they're like, action, and I'm just like, what are the,
Now what's gonna happen? Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I don't like it either.
I don't like that. So it was amazing that it was just like, this is the new version. So yes, it was improvised, but it was set and we collectively figured out together what it was we wanted to do, and then that stayed. So we weren't necessarily improvising in the moment, but I will say, in a silent way, we improvise in a sense of sometimes when I do comedy, the scene will end, and then some directors will let it kind of keep, they won't necessarily say cut, right? And then it's kind of like whatever naturally comes out, or if it's still having some momentum, it's gonna still crank out. We didn't do that with words, but it was if we just sat in it, and it lingered in silence, and then he would say cut.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It wouldn't be like, and da da da, period. Cut. It would be like, and da da da. Cut.
Wow.
And that, right? But you think like, just little things that this man does, and I'm like, whoa. Or how he's like, action, right? Or he's like, action! You know what I mean? So like, it's a disruptive. It can be. You know? But it's little things that he does that just, for me, change my whole life as an actor.
He does funny things. He'll come in and he'll sit down and go, well, this is lovely. Why don't you guys just watch television together? Like that. Wow. And then he'll let you watch TV together. And that's literally how
And
he'll
do you
start
feel
to
like
sing.
maybe you want to drink something or no?
Yeah.
You want to go, okay, you want some whiskey? Well, I think there's a cup in the back. And I'm like, okay. To go get the cup. And, you know, it's a whole nother way of working from a place of ease. And also, which I think is the biggest thing is, there's no video village. And there's no monitors. So this is the camera, and he's right there. Like, camera, he's right there. And in the beginning, it freaked me out. I remember, like, the first couple of scenes, I was like, oh, so is he gonna leave the room? And you were like, oh, no, forgot to tell you, no. This is his thing. And then I found a comfort in it, and I was looking for him to be there. Because then it reinforced a relationship with the director where now we're really collaborating and working with each other. So many times they say cut and then the actor jumps up and goes and looks at Video Village to look at their work. No shade, I just can't do it. It takes me out of it. Because I'm no longer looking at the action, I'm looking how I look, how's the thing fitting, did I make a weird face, is my hair okay? I'm not looking at the acting. And so it was amazing that he did that. It's a game changer.
Is Video Village common on all these?
Always!
Pretty much, yeah.
Always!
He's the only person I've ever worked with who doesn't use one. And when I did Sideways and I walked on the set, I said, where's all the stuff? Where's the video stuff?
Because also the producers need it.
But it creates a hierarchy. It creates a hierarchy.
Yeah, they're watching the work too.
It creates two workspaces.
Right.
It makes the important place where all the important people are sitting and watching the camera with their coffee. And it makes the place where everybody's doing the grunt work. And that's not right.
No.
And you get rid of it, and it's one space where everybody's working together on the same thing. There's no hierarchy. There's no hierarchy.
That's it. Yeah. I've been working since
under a different name.
A fascinating story with Dominic. They looked everywhere and even went into the schools in that area where the movie is set. Finally, to find somebody, tell the story. They found you in a drama department.
Indeed, yes. So one of the schools, they used Deerfield Academy, which is an actual school in Massachusetts where we did all of the filming. They were coming, the casting people came to all the schools they were, or most of them.
There were 5 schools to make the one school.
Yeah, so I think they like called all of them up, and my school was one of them that responded, and they were looking for kids, I guess, like actors, and mainly background, I think. And then, I don't know, Susan Shopmaker, our casting director, sent my tapes over to Alexander, ultimately, you know, just to see if there was something that he might like about me. And he called me a few weeks later and then came to Deerfield, actually, and I got to meet him in person and audition with him. And I don't know, for some reason he felt that I was, I guess, worth the extra work, the process, extending that audition process through like a couple months of teaching me how to act for the camera and how to transition through you know, just acting for theater. And he did a really good job of, you know, for someone who's very unexperienced with just acting in general, not just film acting, to simplify things for me, where I was able to turn around, I guess, you know, this pretty inexperienced acting I was bringing forward into something that translated well with these two.
And it was can I just, because I feel like I'm a proud auntie. It was before the school auditions.
Yeah.
They auditioned 800 people.
Wow.
And passed on all of them.
Yeah.
Then said, well, let's try the schools. And I remember when I first got chatting with Alexander, when he was presenting the show to me, the idea of it, we were having a chat. He was like, you know, it was between 2 actors. One, I mean, he could do it, but there's another one, and and there's something very unique about him. He doesn't have former training. He goes, but I'm not worried about it because there's something that's just there. And I didn't know this kid from Adam, and I was like, well, that sounds like the more interesting choice. And you even very much so went to bat and was and even did a chemistry read and everything.
I did. I mean, he showed me the audition tape of his, and you auditioned, you did the scenes, and that was great. But then they also just sat there and talked to you.
Yeah,
They just asked some questions about himself. And that was the thing that I was watching, and I was like, holy shit, he's amazing.
Right, and then he was just like, do that. You know?
Oh my God. Well, yeah, all right, I mean, just do that, that's easy. I mean, that's easy. And it was, and I just, the other thing I thought was amazing too, was I was like, he looks like he's from the 70s.
Right.
Like,
This
he
is
looks
real
like
hair.
a guy from the 70s.
He still does.
That's the haircut.
And the thing I thought was, what you really gotta do too is you're making a 70s movie, you gotta do the really cool thing and go with the guy who's never done anything. That's the 70s spirit.
Right.
You're like, fuck yes, we're doing the guy who's never done anything, let's see what happens. So it felt 70s like that. You know what I mean? It was really great.
Yeah, it's so great. And